Hey, everybody, welcome to Fresh Press with Eric Raddatz, and I'm Eric Raddatz. And in addition to all the things taking place in and around Southwest Florida, we have only the finest guests ever to be on podcasts anywhere and everywhere. While everyone's talking about what's happening and taking place in and around town this week, at the top of the list, according to the news press that came out today, is the Fort Myers Film Festival taking place May 22nd to 26th in and around Southwest Florida at the Sidney and Berne Davis Arts Center, IMAG, Alliance for the Arts, Big Arts, Broadway Palm Dinner Theater, Luminary Hotel, Banyan Hotel. Did I mention Babcock Ranch? Hellbent on Boogie is kicking things off May 22nd, but we have 92 films from over 12 different countries. And the truth is, we always are being asked, which ones do you want to see? And I say you should see them all, but you should see at least one. But instead of me taking all the time and telling you about how much I love the films, we are honored to have with us 7 of the filmmakers who are going to be at this year's Fort Myers Film Festival. So without any further ado, would like for each of them to introduce themselves and to tell us their name, the film, maybe where they're calling from, and a shout out, anything you want to say before we get started. And I'm going to go counterclockwise according to my screen, which probably isn't the best way to go, but I'll call out your name. Mike, you there, buddy?
Hi, Eric. Thanks for having us tonight. My name is Mike Messier. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, which I think that's about 4 or 5 hours north of you. And really happy to be meeting you tonight and looking forward to showing Many Keys, the Heartbreak Monologue. It's a 5-minute piece. It's basically extracted from my novel, A Distance from Avalon, When the Dying and the Dead Reunite, which is now available on Amazon. And I believe my screening is Thursday afternoon at 5:10 or early evening in the romantic block. And that should be really fun. I'm sure that there's going to be some really good films. The romance shorts, 5:10 at SBDAC, which I've never been to before, but I'm looking forward to being there Thursday, May 23rd at 5:10 p.m. for the romance shorts block. And thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for phoning in from Jacksonville. And I loved your film. And let's take it on over to LeeAnn. LeeAnn, how you doing? You're on mute, by the way, LeeAnn. I see you're. There you go.
Not
Tell
anymore.
Us, how are you doing, LeeAnn?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Eric, for having us. This is really fun. I'm so inspired to see everyone and hear about people's films. I am in the film. I'm not actually a producer. My husband produced our film, which is called Trivia About You, directed by Christian Lamort. And we are, I think we're also in the romance block, but on Friday, not Thursday at 6 p.m. Yeah.
The date night block, yes.
The date night. It's called the date night block. That's what I thought. Yeah. So just so excited. I won't go into more now, but anyway, I'm calling from New York City. I don't know if I said that.
Okay. Where in New York?
We're in New York, Hell's Kitchen, right in the middle of it. It's amazing that there's not a siren going off right now.
Well, we hope to hear one. If you're on mute, be sure to unmute if you get a good siren going.
Okay, I will. It'll happen.
Well, we'll come back to you for some questions about your film. Let's go over to Sarah. Sarah, tell us how you doing today.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Glad to have you.
So my name is Sarah Young. I'm the writer-director of Not Him. Not Him is a suspense thriller film about a wife who believes that her husband is possessed by a demon, but can't get anyone to believe her. We're in the Thursday night thriller block at 9:45 p.m. It looks like an incredible lineup of films, so I'm really excited to be a part of it.
We're excited to have you be a part of it. Thank you, Sarah, for coming in here today. Leslie and Coles, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Coming in from, are you in Canada?
I am, Toronto. Well, just north of Toronto, Woodbridge.
Yeah. Tell us about your film a little bit, The Curtain.
Yeah, so The Curtain is having its Florida premiere at Fort Myers. I'm really excited to be returning to the festival. And The Curtain is a 15-minute, 11-second short that I wrote, directed, produced. I'm also in it with other method-trained actors. And it's about a woman who returns to an old haunt from her childhood to reconcile herself with the people that she loves.
Thank you. With twists that you will not expect.
Yes.
Thanks for calling in, Leslie.
Yeah, thanks
Janelle.
for having me.
Janelle, tell us, how are you doing tonight?
Hi. Oh, I'm very good. Thank you. I'm calling in from New York City as well. And my
Where in New
film,
York? Are you in your Hell's Kitchen as well?
I am not near Hell's Kitchen. I'm very far from it, actually. I'm
Okay.
in Queens, but it's Rockaway Beach, Queens. So if
Okay.
you're familiar with New York, it's kind of like past Brooklyn, Queens.
Yes, yes.
But it's right on the beach, so not quite Florida beach weather. But,
Well,
but
you'll
I-
get that soon enough. It's heating up. It's very hot here, actually.
Exactly. So my film is called I'm Not Nice, and I'm a producer and the lead actor. My character plays, we sometimes just say a super spy. Basically, she's an assassin.
You're giving
And,
it away?
And when she misses her mark and her hit gone wrong, she has to resort to something that she hates more than anything in the world, and that's small talk.
Oh,
So
don't we all hate the
basically-
small talk?
Yeah, she's not very social. So it's playing in the Comedy Block on Friday, May 24th at 3:30.
Wonderful. I'll be sure to be there, as was all of them. Thank you. TL Westgate, how the hell are you, brother?
Good. I'm glad to be back this year. We've got another comedy in the same block as Janelle, 3:30 Friday. It's called All for Naught. And the whole thing is kind of a play on words about a grammar Nazi who gets pulled out of everything he's trying to get done because people keep saying things incorrectly and he has to correct them. So it's a short comedy and we had a lot of fun with it.
Very cute. Thank you. And also we have Logan. Logan, how are you doing? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, Eric?
Good.
Thank you. Thank you again. Yeah, I have my film, The Crossing Through Blue, screening on Friday, May 24th at noon. It's a pretty inspiring 36-minute documentary about the crossing for cystic fibrosis, which is an 80-mile paddleboard race from the Bahamas to the east coast of Florida. So yeah, pretty excited. I co-founded Local Films with my friend Zach, and also co-produced and co-directed this documentary. So super excited to share it with all of you. But, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, it's a very impressive group we have here, and if you can imagine that while there are 7 of you here, there are 85 others who are also going to be coming in. So we have a great group, and as you can tell from your films making the festival, we have wide varieties of films that we accept, and we're excited that we have comedy and drama and films that make a difference. And there's some of all of you here representing. A lot of times people will say, what should I see and what would I recommend? As the director of the festival, and it's something that I kind of try to say, these films are like my kids and I love them all. You should see them all. But if you can only see one, I often will say the first time I went to a film festival was in Edinburgh International Film Festival, one of the longest running film festivals in the world. And I literally went up not knowing anything about film festivals, and I decided I would pick some short blocks. And I think that it was a good decision because I picked I think 2 or 3 short blocks, which each had several films. So I ended up at least seeing 21 films in a matter of 3 short blocks. And with all but one of yours being a short film, I think I want to open the door for the conversation for whoever would like to start speaking about why someone should come out and see your film, or what about your film you think has resonated with audiences that you've shown it to already. And anyone can go first. You can either raise hands or begin speaking.
I'll go.
Okay, Leslie went first. Leslie, you're first.
So, well, I think what's really great about short films, and I speak to this as a filmmaker, but also as a festival director. I run the Female Eye Film Festival here in Canada. We're celebrating our 22nd year in July. So I think with short film programs, you just, Eric, you curate some really great programs. And I think the challenge for programmers is to bring films together that it's like hanging an art show. So when you walk into the room, there may be a group exhibition, but the art somehow works together. Sometimes it's a juxtaposition. Sometimes it's thematically, the themes of the films are sort of the glue. But I think you see a really eclectic selection of films with the short film programs, and it's a great ride. So I agree with you in that I think you were promoting the short film programs, Eric, there. So I say yes. But I'm also a feature film director, so I love features as well. But I think the thing that I'm getting from the feedback from the curtain is that women can identify with it in terms of mother-daughter relationships and how complex they are. And also, you know, just, well, I think the biggest, you know, success for me in making this film was I shot the film. It was inspired by a roadside motel, which are quickly disappearing across the country. And I wanted to tell a story that could take place in one room, and the story would unfold over the course of one day. And in that, there's also a flashback sequence to the protagonist's childhood, which also unfolds over the course of one day. So that was really cool. And I shot on film the flashback. So I shot on a Super 16 Bolex camera. And that was great fun. So I mixed analog and digital in the making of the film. So, and people seem to really respond to that, especially filmmakers.
Very cool. Good introduction. We'll come back. Let's get everyone else a chance as well. Janelle, I think I saw your hand next.
Yeah. So I'm Not Nice has been on the festival circuit for a while, and sometimes it gets put with other comedies in a full block, and sometimes it gets sort of like in a mix or in like a crime block or something like that. But I think that I love comedy. I love drama as well, but comedy is really good for the soul. And there's all different kinds of comedy. You know, we have like farcical, we have nuanced, we have dramedy. So I think that when you like make the decision to go to a comedy block, you just kind of know that's going to be a good day. You know? So that's how I would promote it, not even having seen the other films. I would say, come to the comedy block, laugh, feel good.
Yes, yes. And I'm glad that you let us categorize it that simply, because a lot of times we'll put, you know, the name, and we expect everyone to read the title, and they're just like, it's a lot for people. So I thank you for letting us kind of bring it down to the basics of it's a comedy, and it's a comedy block, and we all need comedy right now. I don't know anybody who doesn't want a little comedy. So we have a full comedy block, and thank you so much. Janelle, let's go over to Sarah. Sarah, I think you had your hand up next. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I'd just like to jump in and echo what I'm hearing around the importance of shorts. And I want to amplify my love of thriller blocks in general. I'm a big believer in using genre filmmaking to tackle complicated stories. So, for example, Not Him is a metaphor for domestic violence told through the lens of a demonic possession. So it's, you know, it's supernatural, it's spooky, and it is unfortunately dealing with a very real world horror that speaks to all too many people. So I really believe in genre filmmaking as a vehicle for starting conversations and for letting people be seen. And I'm grateful to say that Not Him seems to be speaking to a lot of people. And I hope that it will continue to spark people thinking about the importance of believing victims, and you know, sometimes all it takes is one person to believe you to save your life. So on that very serious note, the thriller block, it'll be a good time, and it just might have some content in there that is important to think about. So
Absolutely.
I'm a big believer in thriller.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sarah. And we're going to come back to you because we have more questions, but let's get everyone else. LeeAnn, I think you were up next.
Great. I can't wait to see these films. Our short film is called Trivia About You, and it was really born in the first year of the pandemic in 2020, in the late summer of that first year. My husband has a producing company that's also produces a lot of theater here in New York called Nomad Theatrical Company. And we were looking for hope and stories and how could we tell them in that crazy time of that first year. And we came up with an idea, and my husband commissioned 6 short plays that fall that he called Park Bench Plays, because he is a wonderful carpenter as well, and he figured out how to make a bench that looked just like a bench from Central Park, and that he could put together with a screw gun in about 20 minutes. And we could do these plays outdoors in the parks around New York City. And because he commissioned 6 of them, we could, and a lot of us, like he and I, acted in ours together. We tried to get couples who could be comfortable being close to each other and acting together, because again, it was such early days. So there was a lot that went into it. And at that time, one of the first people we asked was a playwright who we've known for a long time, who's not only a playwright, she's a wonderful writer of plays and movies and television. Her name is Amy Berryman. And there's a siren. Can you hear it? Well, New York City, here we are. 42nd Street is literally right there.
Wonderful.
So she wrote this short play for us that we could do on a park bench that really is about finding a sort of two somewhat eccentric people who meet during the pandemic in a Zoom trivia group, and then suddenly they see each other outdoors on this park bench. And meet for the first time in person that way. And I think it's a really nice romantic comedy about sort of a meet cute in a way, but with the kind of pandemic twist on it, and the kind of way that the pandemic sort of gave us this extra impetus in some cases, I think, to open our hearts to each other and become intimate in a way, sometimes out of loneliness. And I think you see that in these characters, but also their hope to maybe get a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 80th chance at love.
Wonderful. Yes, that's awesome. Way to put it. Thank you for that. Mike, I think you're up next, brother.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. I think the good thing with short films for the audience is that if you're not enjoying the one that you're watching, just wait a few minutes because another one will start. So,
exactly.
From a practical point of view, for our piece, Many Keys, the Heartbreak Monologue, we filmed it in Vero Beach, and we used some interesting use of still photography, which we actually kind of animated the still photography. So I think as far as a different filmmaking technique that I think people probably haven't seen before, or they haven't seen at least the type of budget that we had to make our movie, I think people will be impressed. So once again, the romance shorts on Thursday at 5:10 is where I'll be with Many Keys, the Heartbreak Monologue.
That was very understated and all true. Thank you, Mike. I'm coming back to you for more questions about your film. TL, you've been in this fest before, and you're in a lot of festivals. And just tell us a little bit about your film.
Ours actually was for the 48-hour film project. So we had 48 hours to make the film. And we've done that several times, but I like that because they randomly assign you a genre, so you don't know what kind of film you're going to make. So it keeps you nimble. And this one turned out to be, we've gotten it in some festivals here and there, but to the point of the allure of short films. Kind of, Mike said it more eloquently than I, but I usually tell people, when it comes to short films, if you see a good one, it can just like really illuminate you. And if it's bad, at least it's short.
Well said, TL. Let's head on over to Logan. Logan, tell us a little bit about you now.
Yeah. So why would someone come see The Crossing Through Blue?
Yours is not a short film, just for the record. Yours is approximately, how long is yours?
36 minutes.
Okay, so not quite short, but you're going to give us a little more. Yeah, but anyway, sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, to see what these people are doing and have been doing in the Bahamas and what they do for cystic fibrosis is something that I think everyone should not only see but experience. And that's what our film really does. It's super immersive. We take you there, literally, to Bimini, and sort of attach you to a specific team that you're on the boat with, and you're going through the ocean and you're experiencing everything one would experience and doing something as crazy as that. And so, yeah, and it sort of has the magic of like a biopic, or the story has that magic, but there's still a lot of realness in it as it's a documentary. And if anything can be taken away from it, in my opinion, it's anything's possible. Not only from a paddling perspective, doing something as insane as 80 miles across the ocean, from a cystic fibrosis perspective of overcoming that adversity of suffering with that disease, and even from a filmmaking perspective of two young guys just going after it, trying to tell the best story they can. So that's it.
Well, I love it. I love that all of your films in the festival. We're talking about the Fort Myers 14th annual Fort Myers Film Festival to be held May 22nd through 26th in and around Southwest Florida. Tickets are available at fortmyersfilmfestival.com. And you know, each of your films, I think I could spend quite a bit of time on. And I don't want to be very regimented with my questions so that you all get an opportunity to speak about what it is that you want to talk about. But as you can hear, even from these introductions, what I think I enjoy the most as a curator of a film festival is that I get to see voices that we wouldn't see maybe in a bigger budget film, or passions that we wouldn't see in a corporate kind of like box office blockbuster. So each of you seem wed. Some of you especially seem very wed to the project. Maybe want to start a little bit with Sarah, not her. You're saying people are responding and can identify with a psychodemonic abuser. When you say that, you mean they're identifying with that, having been in their life. What are you hearing positively that's coming from people who are seeing the film, and or why did you pick this subject? They say you write what you know, or whatever else you want to talk about, Sarah. But I thought it was very interesting because it was so finitely pointed as to one of those films where you could tell it's a film with a real statement.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I wrote Not Him because I do have personal connections to domestic violence. I won't go too much into detail here. Unfortunately, I'll bet pretty much everyone listening to some degree, whether it's happened to them or happened to someone they know, has some sort of relationship to domestic violence. And this film is very much told from the perspective of the wife. It's difficult as the subject is. I think of it as a story of hope because without giving spoilers, it's the crux of the story is her getting her best friend to believe her. And that makes all the difference in the world. So I am very grateful to say we are having a very strong run. I was just at Independent Film Festival, Boston Independent Film Festival a couple weekends ago. And then that same weekend flew to Chicago Horror Film Festival with the same film. So what's been interesting is that this film has been programmed in very much genre blocks, Chicago horror, ethereal horror, and we're getting programmed in drama blocks and women's stories blocks and just a wide variety of blocks. And so we're playing with a wide variety of films. And I actually think that's really interesting and exciting because I think that it's speaking to different people in different ways. And that has been really interesting to watch. And yes, I've had really fantastic conversations with people after screenings around people just feeling seen by the film itself, feeling empowered by the film itself. Obviously, a lot of women have come up to me, but I've also had very interesting conversations with men. And it's been really fascinating to have those conversations and to watch the effect of the film. So I'm always so grateful for a festival to program this film and allow me to show it and to speak about it, because I think that that's where change comes from.
It's awesome. Thank you for that. We're going to try to get back to you, but let's get a little from Logan back to Logan. These cystic fibrosis. Tell me about why that's important message for you to get out there, and what you hope or has been done with your film so far.
Yeah, the foundation is basically called Piper's Angels Foundation, and I won't get too into it because, right, the plot of the story, it sort of builds as it goes along, but yeah, the work they do, there's a lot of families that do suffer from this disease. It affects the lungs, from my understanding. It affects the gut. It affects everything, their whole lifestyle. And through the efforts of this organization and many others, through new medications and whatnot, I've done some research, and people are now living much longer than otherwise sort of predicted that they would, because of people going out and making change, right? And doing something about it, not just accepting. So it's a beautiful thing. to watch firsthand what people will do when things, very rare diseases and tragic things can happen very close to them, how far they'll go to make things better.
Yep. Love that. Thank you, Logan. Lighten it up a little bit with TL. When I saw your film, I know your sense of humor. I've seen you. I know you do a lot of 48-hour film festivals, and this one I wondered how much was inspired by Weird Al Yankovic's Word Crimes. Did you have kind of a similar beef that he did, or did this come uniquely to you outside of that reference?
Well, first of all, let me say, oddly enough, Weird Al and I have the same birthday.
Oh, okay.
Me, Johnny Carson, and Weird Al and Ryan Reynolds, all comedy giants, right?
Oh, okay. I'm drawing the dots and connecting them, trying to anyway.
For this 48, we got the genre of mistaken identity, and we didn't have any ideas for that. But as I oftentimes do, I'll come up with an idea or a character, and I'll send an email to myself to keep track of things. So I had the character in mind of the guy who is a pedant. He's a grammar Nazi. He gets pulled out of whatever he's doing if somebody says something incorrectly. So I had that character, and then when we had this genre assigned to us, we're like, okay, well, let's I've got this guy in mind. Let's make him a hitman, and you'll see in the film where we went with it. But yeah, one of my we all have certain grammar things that we're not good at, and some we're good at, like there, and there. I'm particularly pedantic about who and that, which is one of the lines that comes up. So we're like, okay, let's just make this whole thing about everybody's saying all these grammar things wrong, and it's just bugging the hell out of this guy. And we kind of went with it and turned it out in 48 hours, and it's been around a few festivals, and I'm really glad to be there because, as you know, I grew up in Naples, so I love coming back to that area.
Well, we love having you here, and I think your character, the more that you allow yourself to shine through your characters, the better, because it's almost like an acceptance of who you are, which is quite funny, and I really enjoyed the film. Let's bring it a little bit to the roms and the coms. Roms, LeeAnn, everyone likes a good love story. Are they difficult to make, and do you have any that you would pick up on as maybe your favorite rom-coms that might have influenced you through the years to get in this kind of phase where you like doing them, or anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah. One thing I was going to say is that before I said this started as a play, and then our playwright adapted it later, my husband felt like we've gotten to act on stage together a lot, he and I, in different plays, but we had never been on screen together. And so he decided to produce it, and asked Amy if she would adapt it into a screenplay, which she did. I was thinking about, just as I listened to other people, about, at the heart of the story of our film is really something about whether or not love in midlife can feel worth the trouble of it, for two people, and whether or not it can be, and whether or not the character that I get to play will decide to take a chance and sort of step past her comfort zone and out of the loneliness that has been building for her. And a lot of people came to us when they saw it as a play in the park and said, we would love to live with these characters more and see more about them. And it really gave us hope to see that story. And so that's how, we decided to make it into a film. We also shot our film in one day in Central Park. And we were very lucky to know a wonderful filmmaker who my husband has done 3 films now with, who came from LA and really put such a terrific team of people together who could really pull that off with us. Yeah. Wait, now you asked me a really interesting question, Eric.
Well, I was curious of maybe what inspired you, if you were to look to rom-coms or roms in your past that you think are good.
I mean, it's so crazy. It's such a great question. And it is one of my favorite genres. I, as an actress, do a lot of really intense, serious plays. The last play that I did was a play that maybe some people are familiar with, that won the Pulitzer Prize, called Sweat by Lynn Nottage. And it's about the steel workers in Pennsylvania and the whole collapse of their industry and how it affected those people personally. It's like very intense. And I would say that's very typical of a lot of the roles that I play. So in my own entertainment life, I turn to something that balances that out. And I need to laugh, to feel like dramedy is definitely a favorite genre for me to watch. So you know, what I like in terms of romantic comedy is all over the place. I'm going to think on that. Can you give me a minute to
Yeah, you can think about it.
Yeah.
I always get swept into kind of Nora Ephron. You know, I mean, when I see folks on a park bench, my brain goes to Burn
Yes.
After Reading, I think. But I digress. Let's go over to
Definitely.
Janelle. Same question. Same question to you.
I don't remember the question, except I remember you said if there's anything else we want to tell you. So I'll tell you something about I'm Not
okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Like, I don't remember what question we're answering. So I'm Not Nice is actually a spin-off, believe it or not, of a previous film that I wrote called I'm Not Lost. And I played like a supporting character. I played a supporting character in I'm Not Lost, and one of the producing partners of our group, they all liked that character so much that Shannon went and she wrote a film for my character. And I never thought that character, she's very, very stoic. And I never thought it could be a leading role. So that's why I was like, oh, I'm going to write this character for me as a side character, and it'll be small and there'll be like no expression and it'll be really funny because it's so short. And then Shannon went and wrote her starring in a film where all of these different things happen. So it ended up being like a really huge acting challenge to try to keep everything really small and buried, but still show. And I had so much fun with it. I actually kind of fell in love with this character. But my group of people that we worked on this with was Shannon Morrill, who wrote it and co-directed it. Tom Capps, who also is a co-director. So Tom Capps and Phil Russell are they're amazing, and I just think I love working with them so much. So I've been really grateful to do a few with them, and there may end up being more I'm Not films. So we're still kind of we're still working on that. But this film has been a lot of fun, and one of the things that has resonated with people with this film, which is silly. No one was ever supposed to be able to relate to this character. I think I told you what she is.
Right.
But you know, it's a comedy, so she ends up in a silly situation in at a family dinner party, you know, trying to like find the guy that she's supposed to take out. So they're all like being silly family people, and my character has no idea how to react to them at all. So everything is like delayed and it's slow and it's awkward. And that has been what people come up to me and say, like, oh yeah, I'm terrible at small talk. I'm so awkward in those situations. And I'm kind of like, so like a lot of people said that to me.
Right.
I think that's kind of funny that they find a way to relate to this robot of a character.
Yeah, I think if you can relate, then someone else can relate almost every time. So that doesn't surprise me. So that was better than the question I answered. Thank you. Mike, you know, when I watched your film, it took me in directions I did not expect. And I've seen a lot of films. This is my 14th year as a film festival. And tell me why you decided to get a little weird.
Well, man, that's just kind of my thing, Eric. You know, this is a monologue that's extracted from a novel, and the novel was written based on a screenplay. So, you know, most times people write the novel first and then write a screenplay and then make a movie, and we've kind of scrambled that system around. You know what I mean? And the actress Jessica from Tampa, Jessica Caradero, she did a great job, and you know, there's some as far as getting weird, you know, I think really just was the Frank Zappa expression that necessity is the mother of invention. You know, I didn't have a lot of resources here, but I did have a really great friend that I've worked with for 20 years. Tim Labonte drove from Rhode Island to Florida, and luckily his parents have a condo in Vero Beach, so we used that as our studio, and we set up Tim's green screen and he dragged all his equipment, down the East Coast so we could film this thing. And our actress came out to meet us, and we filmed it in one afternoon. And then the hard part was a year and a half of editing over Zoom, you know what I mean, for a 5-minute short. So, I
Wow.
mean, we put the time into this thing, and I think the effects that you probably enjoyed, that other people seem to enjoy, it's worth it, But I ultimately, Eric, the idea for this 5-minute piece, it kind of serves two purposes. It's a book trailer, for the novel, and then also I'd still like to produce the full screenplay, which is relatively simple. It's a 4-actor piece with one prime location of a castle or a museum, something like that. So in a sense, this is a finished piece, but in a sense, it's hopefully the beginning of a bigger project too.
Sure. Well, it's quite delightful, and I mean that because I'm also a little weird, and I like weird stuff. But it was great. Leslie, when I heard you were submitting The Curtain, I think it was definitely after your jump from feature to short film is what I'm curious about. Leslie's film Melody Makers, which screened as the opening night film for the Fort Myers Film Festival in 2018, I believe, was a great documentary on one of the greatest rock and roll magazines, Behind the Eyes of Bernie Weitzel, who documented some of the biggest names in rock and roll history. And then you kind of take this turn into, I'm going to do this little short film called The Curtain about the protagonist who's reminiscing about growing up and her relationship with her mom, and then her relationship with her husband and lover. Can you walk me through how one connects the dots between those two projects, which seem very dissimilar?
For sure. So I started actually in scripted. So my first film was a 40-minute short. And so, yeah, Melody Makers, being a documentary, took a long time to make. And it was one of the highlights of my career, having it open Fort Myers, by the way. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that. We enjoyed you just as much.
Yeah, it was so fun. Such a great festival. So The Curtain, yeah, well, I thought about this story for a long time, because this little 1-star motel on Highway 27, I drove by it on my way into the city for like 17 years. And I was very curious about motels and sort of the folklore around them, and why do people go to them? And I mean, with the advent of car travel, people use them to travel across North America. So, and they're disappearing because they're getting replaced by condos. So it actually is the first time a story actually grew out of an environment. And the reason, to be honest, the reason I did it when I did it is because I wrote a female-driven Western that's set in 1873, a feature film, feature screenplay. By the way, it won the Big Apple Film Festival screenplay competition. I just found out a day ago. So that's great. And it's it's a big epic Western, female-driven, violence against women is the backdrop. And I just felt like I needed to, because I did the documentary, I really felt like I needed to get back to scripted, and I needed to write a short film. I needed to direct it, produce it. I needed to do all of that because I have this feature Western that I will probably be doing the same thing with. So that was part of the process for me. It was like, I need to do a short to get back into the scripted, to show that I can, I still have my writing chops and my directing chops.
I love that. I love that about you. And I love that about a lot of filmmakers and artists that I know, and even creatives and business folks. You sometimes kind of make the path by walking it. And in the tracks of your explorations, you leave real creative work. So thank you for that. Just because I often will watch these where the podcast host asks his questions, but doesn't sometimes ask the right questions. So I decided to make the next portion, and even the last portion of our journey here today, an exploration of an open forum where each of you can ask any question of any of you or all of you that you would like. So whoever would like to ask any question of anyone or all of us, please, let's start down that track.
Sure. I had a thought or question for LeeAnn. I was pretty intrigued by her 2-actor park bench plays, and that must be great to have a husband who can put together a park bench in 20 minutes. But
I'll take one too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It just kind of reminded me, I had written a short play. It's a 10-minute piece that I thought you might enjoy because it's basically two people meeting from an online setup for a date, you know? So I was kind of curious, have you ever thought of once you did that outdoors, has it occurred maybe to move that to an indoor venue to kind of like take your outdoor plays of the two people on the bench and put them on bar stools and interior, maybe to mix it up a little bit, or maybe to film some of those plays as short films?
That's such a cool idea, Mike. No, we never really talked about bringing it inside that I know of. But my husband is like interested in doing another round of these short plays because all 6 of them were so interesting, and it would be fun to keep riffing on that. Yeah, it really opened a door for us. It was also like a good form for making theater because we could just choose any 3 of those short plays to do of an evening and get the word out about that. And people would just show up. At the time, you know, at the time when we started doing them, it was so early in the pandemic that we were always keeping 10 feet apart, even outdoors, you know? So we set down hula hoops that were measured at measured distances around where we were doing them so that people could just go to those spots and know that was where they could sit and sort of control their distance from other people. A lot of people had not seen live theater at that time for months. So it was quite heartening and moving for people just to like have an evening of seeing a live performance. But I love that. I love that. Yeah. I mean, you know, you could, if you could find the indoor spots that were as available as the outdoors. But certainly you could do them as short films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because just because like it's like the fact that it's just mostly 2 actors and a singular prop, and
Exactly.
with the advantage of a short film, you could even make it 2 or 3 props or whatever you want to do. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was just kind of impressed by that whole deal that you were talking about.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, it is cool when you essentialize something and get it down to kind of a bare bones simplicity. It can be very freeing.
That's cool. Thank you for that. Anyone else want to jump out there with something?
I want to ask Logan. I paddleboard myself. How long does it take to paddleboard 80 miles across the ocean?
In that event, it's typically between 12 to 18 hours.
That's it?
Yeah, and yeah, they start at midnight. So there's a lot of variables out there that can happen, that can change really in any moment. And yeah, at 18 hours they cut it off. So if you're slacking, they're all about safety out there, and they'll bring you in for a good reason. It'll get dark again. That's yeah. But yeah, if you paddleboard, you gotta check it out.
You got to see his film, TL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to see it.
I paddleboarded in the Everglades.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
By gators and all that?
Yeah.
12 hours? 12 hours?
No. 2 hours max.
2 hours, man. It's not that bad. All right.
The,
Anybody else?
Yeah,
ahead,
I
yeah.
have a question for TL. So you've mentioned that you've done quite a few of the 48-hour film festivals. I did one once and I absolutely love the experience, but I actually kind of feel like it's because I got lucky, because I've heard a lot of experiences like either you get a genre that you don't like, that you can't get someone to do the music on time, that you can't get it edited. I mean, let's face it, that's who it's really the hardest on, is the editor. But the whole post-production aspect of it is shocking. And I had a very, very lucky first experience, and I found myself craving doing it again. but I won't. I'm scared. Because what if it's, how has it been? Like the fact that you keep going back and back. I'm sorry, my question went on really long.
Oh no, it's yeah. My first one was 2008. I've done maybe 24 or so over the years, and it's
Oh.
the thing is it starts on a Friday night at 7 p.m. That's the kickoff. So obviously you have to turn it in Sunday at 7. They give you till 7:30. It's 48 and a half hour. But so yeah, Friday night you write, Saturday you shoot, Saturday night you better be ingesting footage and get a rough cut, and then Sunday is all day editing. If you don't follow that model, you're gonna run out of time. The only upside to that at that point would be hopefully you've still captured everything. Even if you don't make the deadline, you can still finish your film, and now you have a short film that you can put out into film festivals.
That's actually a really good point. I always felt as if people, oh no, I didn't make the deadline, it's over. I was worried about those people, but that's actually really good to know, because the getting the idea to get started is really exciting.
Yeah, and when we do well with a 48, the film that we send to other festivals has a few tweaks. We don't ship more, but I give it another pass at the edit. Maybe if there's any effects, give another pass at the effects. Just tweak it out a little bit. So yeah, you could your 48 that you turn in if it's on time is one film, but you still have a film to send to other places.
That's a good point. Thank you. And I love the concept of your film. It sounds really funny and interesting.
You got to see it.
Well, we're in the same block, so I'll see you there.
Yeah, you guys can, if you're both coming, right? I think you're both coming.
I don't know if I can make it.
Well, maybe TL can send you the link. It's okay.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I'll say TL that in 48 hours you get done what a lot of folks who spend a lot more time doing a better way. It's not always the amount of time you put into it, it's the amount of skill and effort and vision. So good job. I think we got time for maybe a question or two. Anyone else? Leslie.
Yeah, I just have a question for everyone. So I forgot to say that my film screening on Saturday at 3:30, I think, in the Unforgettable block. Is that right? Or is it Unforgivable?
There's no Unforgivable block. We're not that kind of fest. This film is unforgivable. Yes, it is the Unforgettable block. That's 3:30 at the Sidney Berne starts on Saturday, May 25th.
Cool. Okay, so I was just going to ask everyone to repeat when their films are screening.
Well, Janelle and I are Friday. It's 3:30 on the 24th.
24th.
3:30.
3:30. Same time as LeeAnn's, but the day before. Ours is at 6 p.m. on Friday.
Great. The Crossing Through Blue, the 36-minute documentary, is on Friday, May 24th at noon, from 12 to 1.
Not Him is in the thriller block at 9:45 p.m. on Thursday. Looks like a great time.
Mike?
Thank you. Many Keys, Heartbreak Monologue is in the Romance Shorts block, 5:10 p.m. Thursday early evening at SBDAC 2301 First Street, Fort Myers, Florida. Looking forward to it.
Awesome.
It's a good segue for me to mention. We're talking about the Fort Myers Film Festival taking place May 22nd to 26th. I want to thank our sponsors, Riverside Realty Group, where it doesn't cost you more. You just get more with free home staging at riversidefl.com. And your business accounting needs, head to Clarity Certified Public Accountants. That's clarity.cpa, with a special thanks to Gulf Shore Life and Happenings Magazine. We are opening up May 22nd with a big red carpet rollout, and we're benefiting nonprofits with the Sipping with the Stars soiree. That's May 22nd from 5 to 6. We're also honoring Sheriff Carmine Marcino. We're benefiting FODASA, Florida Arts Inc., the Raddatz Foundation, and Kindly. We have 92 films playing in and around Southwest Florida at the Sidney and Berne Davis Arts Center, IMAG, Alliance for the Arts, Big Arts, Broadway Theater, Luminary, Banyan, and more. And with parties in and all over town. So the best way to go is to come VIP. what you all will be being filmmakers of the Fort Myers Film Festival. So we look forward to seeing you. Check out all of these activities and more at fortmyersfilmfestival.com. Any last words?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So excited.
You all have been tremendous. If you're not sure what to see at the Fort Myers Film Festival, I say check out a short block of screenings, which most of these filmmakers are here. Thanks for being a part. Always check us out at Southwest Florida's freshpress.com with me, your host, Eric Raddatz. See you guys at the Fort Myers Film Festival, and thanks for being a part. See you later. Bye.
Bye.